Welcome to the City of Pinellas Parks City Council meeting. Our city offers superior parks, premium recreational services, exceptional public safety resources, optimal investment opportunities, and more. Our mayor and city council welcomes you to tonight's meeting.
Calling to order our city council meeting, we will have an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. The invocation this evening is by Councilmember Seville. Please rise if you wish.
Bow with me if you wish, please. Heavenly Father, dear Lord, we come to you at this time, thanking you for this opportunity, thanking you for the opportunity that we have to come together as a board and to listen to the residents and to the business owners in our community to make this city a comfortable place to live and work and play. And Lord, we just know that we only have these rights and these freedoms because of the men and women who have come before us and protected our freedoms here. And Lord, we pray that you be with all of our military men and women, whether they're afar or at home, and be with their families, Lord. And Lord, we just pray that you keep them safe. And Lord, at this time, I ask a special prayer that you be with one of our firefighters' son, Bo, and help him to get a full recovery, Lord. And Lord, we pray that you be with all the people in our community that are going through difficult times. And Lord, we just ask that you comfort them as only you can. And I pray, Lord, that all the things we do here tonight be pleasing in your sight. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Seville.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We do not have any proclamations this evening or presentations, so we're moving on to an opportunity for any of our citizens who would like to come up and speak on any item that is not on the agenda this evening. And I do have two. The first one is Mr. Goulet, if he would like to come up and speak. Name and address for the record, please.
Ben Goulet, Belcher Road, Pinellas Park.
Yes.
The problem is the one as the replace Home Depot, not Home Depot. That problem is back from 9/09/10/9.
Mr. Goulet, if you could bring that up here, maybe I can help you.
Yes, that's a good idea. Yeah. Here, you can have that up here. See, I doing that because there's no reason to bring that back. Now, last week, they bring me back on this, and I don't work on that anymore. And they want me pay that new guy replace,
You're talking about Sam's Club.
yes,
Okay.
what is his name? The guy was there, he's not there anymore.
You're talking about the old manager,
Yeah.
Todd.
Todd,
Okay.
Yes.
And now the new manager.
no, the problem is Todd.
Okay. He's not there anymore.
No, but he's in the other side.
Over at Lowe's
No,
at the Sam's Club
yes, but the other one on the,
in Clearwater or
no,
in St.
not
Pete.
out, not out at all. Yeah, the shop.
Are you talking about Walmart?
No,
No.
them. They are, I want to tell you the name. They are at the, where you put all the warehouse. Some warehouse.
Sam Club.
Costco?
Oh,
Huh?
Costco.
Costco?
No, some club.
He's still referring to Sam's Club. Wow.
Right?
If you can maybe,
Yes,
Go visit
I
with
don't
Nick.
yeah.
yes, please go visit with Nick and then he will see if he can help you. Don't forget your folder on the dais. Your folder over there. Your folder that's on the podium.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. And if you will go visit with Nick, he can maybe help you. Thank you, Nick. The next person I have that would like to speak to City Council is Michael Lehman. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Name Michael Lallman, address 7200 118th Terrace, Largo, Florida 33773. I'm coming to City Council today, and I appreciate y'all being here and everyone else being here to talk about hotels that are being used as homes, or homes that are being used as hotels, also known short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing an uptick in them. They are growing, and that brings some concerns for us as neighbors and people living in the neighborhoods. Recently, a home right across from us just got purchased and is being used as a short-term rental. Now, it's not such a big deal, but it's a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house, 1,800 square foot. Last week, for a week, we had 20 people living in that house. I don't know, is that a fire hazard? Is that a safety hazard? The amount of trash that was produced was astronomical. There was 5 trash cans out on the curb all week. And it's a lot of stuff that we, as we walk outside of our house, that's what we stare at. We stare at giant trash cans. We've addressed this with the owner. I brought it up. I sent a picture. I was like, is this something that you would want to look at? Nope, but not my concern. I don't live there. Wow, that's great. Appreciate it. Thank you. He owns 5 other Airbnbs. So to me, that's not a home anymore. That's not a residence. That's now a hotel. It's a commercial property. It's a hotel in the middle of a neighborhood. That forces a lot of people out. On top of that, that home was purchased well over asking price. That's pushing neighbors, that's pushing families, people who should be living in these neighborhoods, it's pushing them out of it. These investors are coming in, they're driving people away. If areas that live off of tourism, Indian Rocks Beach, St. Pete Beach, all along that community, if they're blocking them and telling them to go away, why are we not? We have no restrictions. I've been digging through. I haven't found a single restriction that Pinellas Park has on any type of short-term rentals. I know there's not a lot we can do, and it's a big fight in Tallahassee right now. But I'm coming asking, and it is. It's a really big fight, and I get that. But I'm asking that we introduce some common sense laws at the level. If it's being used as a motel, if it's being used like that, Pinellas County already has restrictions in as the amount of people who can be there. It's 10 people. Areas is 12 people. We have no restrictions. There's no fire inspection. There's no home safety inspection. There's no occupancy limits at all. And that is something that I think right now we can address and take care of at this community level. And then we can take the fight to Tallahassee, because eventually we're going to be driven out. People are going to be driven out. It's going to be investors. It's going to be corporations that are running this area. Now, there are some things,
I'll let you wrap it up.
there are a few things I brought up with him, and I said, hey, your renters are continuously blocking the sidewalks. I've sent him pictures of them. I said, hey, your renters are parking right behind people's driveways, making it hard for them to get in and out. His response to me was, if I keep this up, he's going to have his lawyers contact me. That's not the type of person you want to have around. And it makes it really hard to live in the area. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you will just hang out
Yes,
for
ma'am.
a little while, we will get some information on items that you can and do have control over. There are rules and regulations over being on a sidewalk. There are rules and regulations blocking somebody else's driveway and things of that nature. When they originally started this Airbnb project, the beach communities were the ones that were affected, so they put rules and regulations in place. Pinellas Park didn't think that we were going to have that problem. And so, it was Tallahassee now has it so that you cannot implement any new ordinances against the Airbnbs. And they are actually trying to even restrict the cities that already have them on the books even more.
Yeah.
And it is an uphill battle. It is a fight, and we are aware of it. And every time that there's a seminar about it or anything of that nature, I sit there and try to listen so that I can learn something that might be able to help our cities.
No, I totally
I have
understand.
one down the street from me.
It's
So
difficult.
I've asked, and I don't know that it's passed to the attorneys yet, because we do have a nuisance abatement law to see if there's anything that we can use against the property owners when things are like that. But that will be something that we'll have to workshop.
I appreciate it, man.
So thank you. And Councilmember Sabille?
Thank you, Mayor. How about your HOA out there?
We used to have an HOA before I moved in. Apparently it got dissolved, and I've been hearing a lot of reports of HOAs being dissolved by Airbnbs and these investors.
Yeah, that's what I would try to do. I'd try to rally the troops out there and get you a good HOA. But also, before you leave here tonight, speak to Mr. Bart Diebold to your left and give him your address so he can have the chief.
He's got it.
Oh, you already got it? All right. Okay, good. Let's go out there and write some tickets.
I'm all about
Not
it.
warning tickets, write them a ticket, because that way it saves our police department after going out there twice. Write them the first time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the other thing I was going to plug on is if you reach out instead of calling the landlord, if you just call if they're parking on the sidewalk or the trash is out there, you call RPD, they're going to send somebody right out. And so then it becomes a track of the calls, but it also gets it fixed right away. And then we also have an awesome code enforcement team too. So
Yeah, and if
just call them.
if he gets a lot of bad reviews, because he's getting citations out there, maybe not that many people will be leasing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we started on that, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to come up and speak on any item that is not on our agenda this evening?
Hello, I'm Vicky Stefano. I'm at 11468 60th Street North of Pinellas Park, Florida. I wanted to call about the address. Well, I did call the local police department amongst many others this past week and every year on the week of the 4th of July. The gentleman who owns 6155 114th Avenue in Pinellas Park, Florida, he's got those several acres back there that are tucked away that have been for sale forever. He lit off fireworks for over an hour and a half, and the police department stood there. And when I called the police department, they had mentioned that they knew the issue was going on and that the issue was that he lit one firework and they were all tied together. There's no way that fireworks go off for an hour and a half on a few acres and the cops just sit there and support it. I have another property a block and a half away with horses. So we plan accordingly on 4th of July because we know that the horses are going to get riled up over it. We had no idea that this was going to happen. One of the horses almost trampled and killed the individual because of the amount of fireworks and loud explosive devices that he was setting off. And when I talked to the officer, he did nothing, said, "We're here for a reason." And then they stopped for a period of time. The cops stayed there, and then they started up again for an hour and a half. I couldn't even walk my dog down the neighborhood because she was freaking out. Is there anything that they're actually putting in place? Because this is the yearly thing that he does. Cops come out there every year and nothing happens.
I would say that for you to go over and talk to our police chief directly, and they do have rules and regulations on fireworks, but they're very minimum. And when you go to purchase fireworks, all you have to do is tell them that you're trying to get birds out of your tree and you can buy them legally. So their Florida regulations and the county regulations are very obscure on purchasing fireworks. So, but please do go talk to our police chief, Adam, and
Okay,
work with him on the fireworks.
thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak on any item that is not on our agenda this evening? Seeing none, we do have a few items that are quasi judicial this evening. So if anybody is going to be speaking on the quasi judicial items, please be sworn in.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Moving on to section 2, approval of minutes. Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion we approve regular council minutes of June 22, 2023 is on file in the city clerk's office.
Second motion.
Motion has been made in second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to section 3, public hearings, item P1, ordinance number 4193. I have filled out the proper paperwork and is on file at the city clerk's office for this item and will not be voting on it.
And the nature of your conflict is?
I work for the company that is presenting.
Thank you. Item P1 is ordinance number 4193, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map by providing for a change in the zoning district for a certain parcel of land generally located at parcel number 1730-16-69750-100-310-2, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, changing the zoning district from rural residential RR to single-family residential R3, and adopting a master plan and supporting documentation for a residential planned unit development RPUD overlay with underlying single-family residential R3 zoning for a 5-lot single-family subdivision, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for appeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P1, ordinance number 4193. Public hearing, and it's a continued public hearing, second and final reading. This is quasi judicial. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Megan.
And if I may, before we go to Megan, if there has been any ex parte communication that any council members have had with any members of the public regarding this item, now is the time that you would disclose your conversations and the substance of those conversations.
Councilmember Seville.
Yes, ma'am. I've had numerous conversations with the residents out there in that neighborhood.
And can you tell us what those conversations consisted of? Summarize those for
Oh, it
us.
was just about they're not happy with the 5 homes being built on that piece of property that's owned for 3 homes. And that's been going on probably, 15 months, however long, since the beginning of time. Thank you.
Councilmember Goodell.
Yes, I did have a phone conversation with a neighbor of the property in question here. We didn't discuss any of the issues or anything, and I told her that this would be the proper venue to ask any questions that she had, and we would address them here.
Thank you, sir.
And I did have one of the residents come into the store and we spoke about the properties and the pros and cons of some different stuff. So, but that was the only one I talked to.
Thank you. All righty. Megan.
All right. Good evening. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager. I will be presenting case numbers REZ-2023-00001 and PUD-1223-00006. The request is to rezone from rural residential RR to single-family residential R3 with a residential planned unit development RPUD overlay to develop a 5-lot single-family subdivision. Shown here is an aerial of the site. The subject property is located off 59th Street, north of 110th Avenue. This is just a zoomed out version to get a little bit more better idea of the location. The land use is RL, and this is not being changed as it is consistent with the proposed zoning district. The existing zoning is rural residential RR. The flood zone is X, which is a low-risk flood zone. Shown here is the proposed master plan, which has not changed since our last meeting. It is 5 lots, a private road, retention pond, a proposed sidewalk along 59th Street in front of the proposed development, 20-foot wide right-of-way dedication, and the portion in front of 59th Street to be improved by the developer. Just a summary, the request is to rezone 1.779 acres from RR to R3 with a residential PUD overlay for a 5-lot single-family subdivision. The existing residential low RL land use is compatible with the proposed R3 zoning. The density for the current RR zoning is 2.1 units per acre, which allows for a maximum of 3 units. And the proposed R3 zoning is 4.3 units per acre, which allows for a maximum of 7 units, and the applicant is proposing 5 units. ADUs are permitted, but must meet code requirements. Road and stormwater pond on site will be private and maintained by the HOA. And the R3 zoning requires a secondary front yard setback of 25 feet. The applicant is proposing the secondary front yard setback on lot 1 to be 15 due to the required right-of-way dedication, which is part of the PUD. This is just a summary of each lot. The R3 zoning requires a minimum lot area of 10,000 square feet and a minimum lot width of 80 feet or 95 feet for corner lots. Highlighted in orange is where they are requesting relief. On lot 1, they're requesting relief from the width. Lot 2, requesting relief from the area, as well as lot 3. And lot 4, they're requesting relief from the width. Lot 5, they're not requesting relief from anything. The findings of rezoning from RR to R3 with a PUD overlay is appropriate based on surrounding zoning. The proposal meets the intent of the proposed R3 zoning per the Land Development Code, and the requested map amendment is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan, as well as the regulations of Land Development Code. Staff recommends approval of both of these cases. On May 4th, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of both of these cases with the following conditions: provide the necessary drainage on 59th Street North, pave the street and cul-de-sac, install sanitary sewer adequate for the proposed development. Thank you, and I am here as well as the applicant if you have any questions.
Thank you, Megan. Would the applicant like to come up and present? Name and address for the record and whether
Good
you were
evening.
sworn in or not.
My name is Pushkavahi. I'm with Northside Engineering, located in Clearwater, 300 South Belcher Road, and I have been sworn in. Thank you for extending this meeting. We're back from Alaska. Took Mom there for a visit. She enjoyed it, and I brought her with me today for good luck. With me also, Wayne Drash is here as well. He is the owner's representative, so he would also like to basically discuss part of the project. Wanted to publicly thank your staff. You have an awesome, awesome staff. This is an awesome, awesome city. As Megan alluded, project is before you. Were requesting a zoning change, not a land use change. Project currently allows for 7 units. When you multiply the numbers at 4.3 units an acre, since when you change the zoning from RR to R3, the zoning is, the number of units are automatically changed from 2.1 units an acre to 4.3. However, by putting a PUD overlay on this project, we cannot build any more than 5 units. So we cannot build 7 units if the zoning is allowed to be R3. Hopefully I sort of explained that correctly. So I know the neighbors have concerns with regards to, I guess, traffic. Maybe it is. I mean, I don't really get it. When you multiply out the numbers just based on numeric, you multiply the acreage, which is 1.779 times like a 2.1, which is currently allowed, you end up with 3.73 units. 3.7, and just technically speaking, not practically, technically speaking, 3.73 units we can build here. I know we cannot build 0.7 units; it has to be a whole number. So, and we have to round down. So, but when you subtract 5 from 3.73, you get like 1.27. In other words, 1 unit extra and a quarter of a unit. So 1 1/4 of a unit extra is all we're asking. This property, we allow by law to build three units. The calculations allow 3.7. We're asking an additional of 1.27 units. So we also did a little bit of a research just to talk about the compatibility of the neighborhood. You can see on the screen, we're showing subject property. So that's the property that we are looking at today, 1.779 acres. And property, let's say to the north of us, that's an existing subdivision, Summerland Estate. And I guess I have to go closer to read it. But they are building 3.65 units an acre, or they have built 3.65 units an acre there. When you multiply out the acreage versus the 14 lots they have, so that land has already built at 3.65, and we're looking at 2.81. So we're automatically below the density of that subdivision. The properties to the right, you see in gray, they are in the county. They're not in the city. And if you look at the property owned by Kevin and Dina Crooks, it's 1.45 acres total. The county currently allows 5 units an acre there. And when you multiply the numbers, you can build 7 units there, and their acreage is less than our acreage. Ours is 1.779. Theirs is 1.45. We are looking at building 5 units. They could build 7 units. So they are 3/10 of an acre less than us, but yet they will be able to build 2 extra units. And same thing with her daughter, which is next door. As you can see, it's a very, very small lot, 0.45 acres, I think it is, and she can build 1 unit there. So that's small lot. So that's just a comparison relative to the neighborhood. Our request is much less than everybody else's around. And we feel, based on those calculations and also your staff approval, I know your staff is on top of their game, They have done all kinds of studies and calculations, and they're recommending approval. And like to also request an approval as well. If Wayne has any additional information, so I'll be glad to answer any questions afterwards. Thank you.
Name and address for the record and whether you were
Yes.
sworn in or not.
Wayne Drash, 5901 Mangrove Street North, St. Pete, and I have been sworn in. I think Hush covered pretty much everything. The only other point I would make is that if the application for 5 homes versus 3 is denied tonight, even though we have staff recommendation for approval and zoning recommendation for approval, Mr. Nguyen will be forced to reconsider other development options. And Mr. Nguyen just recently built and sold a 5-bedroom, 5-bath ACLF to an ACLF operator, and that company has asked us to build more ACLFs. So the RR zoning would allow us, and we have enough space to actually put 2 community residential facilities on that property. So the decision tonight might be what's best for the neighborhood, 5 homes or 2 ACLFs. So I would please ask you to take that under consideration as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Sabel.
Oh, yes, I've got some questions for you,
sure.
sir. How long ago did who you're representing, purchase that property? How long ago? You might not be able to answer the questions. How long ago?
I think it's been 2 years ago.
Did he know it was in the city?
Obviously,
Did he
yes, sir.
know what it was zoned for?
He did.
So why are you coming here in front of us wanting to change it? I can respect property owners' rights, but just because you own the property don't give you the right to come in and change the neighborhood and affect the way other people are living. Now, Hoosh is talking about traffic. He's not a traffic engineer, so I'm not going to listen to that. Okay? But I just want to know what makes somebody want to change and go into a neighborhood that's existing
Well,
and change it.
we looked at Summerlin Estate, and that was obviously changed from an RR designation to an R2. And in my opinion, it's rather hypocritical of those folks benefiting from an R2 zoning to complain about our R3 requests.
Well, you're talking hypocritical of residents who bought a house that was developed. They didn't develop it. They're not hypocritical in the way I look at it because they went in there and they bought a house. They bought a home.
Mhm.
They didn't ask for any changes. Okay, so they're not, I'm going to stand up for them and say they're not being hypocritical.
Well, some developer changed that property.
Jim Madden,
Mhm.
he had that property. He's on the P&Z board and he's one who voted for this change. I don't agree. I don't agree with our staff recommendations. And that's another question I have for them as we go along. Thank you for your time.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I can answer any further questions, but I also like to say that zonings and rezonings happen all the time. So just because you bought a property, it doesn't mean you are stuck with that, and you can't go back before any board and request zoning changes. This is not a first time, won't be the last time. It happens all the time.
But it doesn't mean you're granted that change. You can ask as a property rights, but it doesn't mean it's granted.
That's
Am I
why we're
wrong?
here tonight. We're asking. Thank you.
Sir? I have a card that was filled out by Mrs. Lynn Crook that would like to come up and speak on behalf of several residents in the area. So you will get 15 minutes instead of 3 minutes.
Okay.
15, ma'am.
Should be 8, Mayor.
Oh, 8 minutes. I'm sorry. It said 3 minus 15. Okay, so thank you. Mrs. Kirk, would you like to come up and speak now? Thank you. Sure.
Mayor, if I could, how long does the presenter get?
Presenters automatically get 15.
Ah,
as a judicial.
15? You got the time.
You cannot use all of the
Um,
time.
First of all, I'll address
Ms.
some
Crook,
of that.
just for the record,
Oh, yes,
name and
I'm Lynn
address for the
Crooks,
record and whether you were sworn in or
5875.
not.
I was sworn in. 5875 100 is where I reside. And I'm here representing the other home I own that's on 59th Street at the dead end. If you could put, I guess that was his picture. Could we put that back up? Okay. If you'll, okay, the gray area is where we own. We're not in the city. However, I have applied. I did turn in an application, but I am against this zoning change, as we would like it to stay as RR as it is. Upon staying at the 3, I will go forward with my annexation. But as he was talking about we could do this and that, well, my home on 110th, I've owned that property for 50 years. We've owned the property my daughter's on was a part of that parcel. We donated it to her to build her home. The one in the back we've owned for 25 years. My husband was self-employed. We sort of looked at that as a retirement for us. And as it stands now, I do believe at the point I'm not here, my family still wants to reside there. So we've been there a long time, and I don't see any, it doesn't look like we're going to be selling out and building things. I'm here to state my objection to rezoning of this property from RR to R3 and adopting a PUD master plan for this 5-lot single subdivision. The city current zone list, the RR Rural Residential District, is established in order to identify and stabilize those geographic areas within the city of Pinellas Park that are appropriate for the development and maintenance of a low-density, single-family environment in a country-like setting. This describes this property perfectly. That is exactly what this neighborhood consists of. Single-family homes to the east, south, west on properties ranging from a third, half, 3/4, 1 to 2 acres. A subdivision to the north is totally separate from the neighborhood as the homes do not face this property. They have their own road, culvert drainage, and are serviced by a main road. And there is a 2-acre horse farm at the northeast corner. This development would not be compatible with the existing neighborhood and will have an especially adverse detrimental effect on the house that will directly face this development on 59th Street, the little one in the green. Every bit of traffic will come out at that house. Compare that road to the road in this Summerland estate. It's only 17 or 18 feet in some spots. Every traffic will come directly at that house. And then I was looking at the staff report, and under 1 and 10, parts of it say consistent with and natural resource characteristics of such areas. Number 2, generally served by and access from minor and collector roadways. That's no minor or collector roadway. That's a small, it was originally a driveway to the back old house. The tiny road that will serve this property, I've been told it's a local road. Local roads require a 60-foot minimum right-of-way and 2 12-foot lanes. The right-of-way on this road is 38 feet. It does not meet the necessary requirements, especially the traffic resulting from building a 5-house subdivision. Stronger roadway requirements are listed, but apparently are being waived. This driveway was adequate for 2 homes that were built in previous home on the property. Requesting rezoning, it was never intended or adequate for subdivision traffic. I know it was stated the road's going to be improved. However, the improvement isn't wider. It's just going to be repaved where necessary for the subdivision. The traffic generation characteristics that came from the staff report claims that 50 trips per acre with 1.77 acres comes to 177 times. Possible, it may be less, but it would be no less than 100 times a day a vehicle will come in and out on that tiny road directed at that house. This will have a monumental effect on the life of the people living there. The calculation comes out to every 3.5 minutes to 7.2 minutes, somebody will move in and out of that subdivision. It will certainly have a diminished effect on this household and will be detrimental to their property value. Then I looked at your objectives and policies. They don't line up with 5 houses on this area. It says compatible with the community. I can give you the numbers if you want them, but I picked them up from the staff report. Needs to be compatible with the community character, compatible with the natural and built environments, compatible with surrounding land uses. City Council will consider the character of the surrounding area and potential adverse impacts on the area, size, configuration, and the natural features of the land to be developed, and the traffic impact. It's in your report. Should consider whether there are adequate provisions for traffic movement and safety, both vehicular and pedestrian. Then it says, consider whether changing conditions of the neighborhood necessitate the amendment in order to increase density and allow the proposed 5 single-family dwellings. I don't know what changes are happening in the neighborhood that they'd be referring to. So there are several things here. The homes do not meet codes, or they're having to use the PUD. One house is supposed to have a 25-foot setback. It has 15. 4 out of the 5 homes would not meet code. They will not confirm the height of the homes they're going to build. Most of all, 130 trees will be removed. The width of these lots is not much more than mobile home requires. The houses have a height restriction, 35 feet. I think that means they could be 3 stories. There are multiple reasons this zoning change should not be allowed. The house is first house off of 59th Street at the back there is 10 feet off the property line. It would be a lovely setting, but now we're going to look at the side of this house, and it's only going to be 10 feet away because every inch is being used up on this property. The property owner either knew or should have known the zoning of this property at the time he bought it.
If I might have you wrap up, please.
Okay. Especially, please pay attention to, well, I told you about the zoning. And almost all council members seem to claim an interest in the environmental causes of the city of Pinellas Park. I think knowing all the people, some of them I know, it's been about horses and all this, and this sure does take away from the normal feeling of Pinellas Park. And I have a lot of drainage concerns as well that I don't have time to get into, but we already have. Could you show my one flooding picture? This is our backyards in a storm. This is my backyard, and the horse farm is behind it. This is the flooding between my house and my daughter's house. We have no drainage. I get out there with my boots on and put a pump in and lay it across the road to where I could find a ditch. So there's a lot of drainage problems, and I don't have time to address it, but thank you And I hope that you'll think about all these things and deny this.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to come up and speak on this item or ask any questions about this item? Name and address for the record and whether you were sworn in or not.
Vicky Stefano, 11150 58th Street North, Pinellas Park, Florida, 33782. I was not sworn in.
Okay, one moment, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I own the horse farm that she spoke about. And when I purchased the property, it was a nice serene, area that we needed to develop, like clean up and keep. And I bought it to keep that in the horse community. I'm in my 30s. I want to raise a family to be able to give that. Those farms are leaving left and right from here. When you go to the Pinellas County pages, they're looking for boarding all over. You can't find it because they're shutting down all over. So I say this because when I originally purchased that place, the previous owner had drainage put in and it would flow. It was fine. No issues at all. We cleaned out the drainage because it wasn't upkept when she owned it, just like everything else that was there. We cleaned it out, never flooded. When Mr. Wynn bought that place and they started taking down the trees, that's when all of that flooding restarted. So I get that there's going to be development and build up there, and I understand that. But I myself, as a young adult who wants to have a family to raise it in this community, I won't be able to keep that place because having those horses help me maintain that mortgage to provide for what I hope to be my future family. But I'm not going to be able to bring horses in because it floods during rainy season, which is at least 4 months out of the year. People aren't going to sit there and have their horses soaking in mud and there's nowhere else to go. I'm not right off of the park, where they can go and have their horses graze right away or ride right there. I understand that's not your personal issue, but it is an issue of concern. So they say, in addition to that they're going to build this retention pond. So when I first bought the place on 59th Street, the county owns that road. I learned that when I put that driveway in. The county then came in and cleaned out all of that drainage because the drainage, I thought that was the issue. They came in there, they cleaned all of the ditches out. Still, the culprit to that whole issue was when he started taking down trees. Now, I don't know the amount of trees that they're going to take down, whether they do 3 to 5 houses, but those trees and the roots that soak up that water, they make a huge difference. So it's finally manageable now. It's not flooding. I haven't had any flooding because my drainage is cleaned out. Horses can go out, no issues. But they're going to do this. It's going to flood. I'm not going to be able to put any horses out forever. I understand that he likes horses. Who doesn't like horses to see horses? I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the supporting of the lifestyle that Pinellas Park is building for an equestrian community. And it'll be another place that shuts down. Now, who buys it in the future, I don't know. But I'll wrap up. My other concern is, when Mr. Wynn sells this property, if he builds the 5 houses and that retention pond is there, who is going to be required to maintain that? Is it the city that's going to say, hey, I'm going to step up? Because when Mr. Wynn dips out after those houses are sold, it's going to create a huge mosquito issue that we already have in that area. And it's just going to worsen. So, Mayor, are you guys going to assist with that?
A homeowners association, if the 5 houses were to be built, would be responsible for the ditch on that property. The 5 of them would be responsible for that ditch.
But Autumn Run was a homeowners association and they folded, and look at the houses there. It used to be in the 90s, that place was beautiful. And there are some houses that are still beautiful, but it's pretty trashy in there now for a lot of houses because they're HOA folded. You've got broken down boats. and, sheds all over. None of the things that were proposed in the beginning are upheld in just 15 years later.
Do you go down that unimproved road on 59th Street to get to yours, or do you get to it from,
So I live on both of those streets.
so you can get to it from both sides?
I own two homes that are right there. One on one side, and then I have the horse farm on the other side of that. So 59th Street is in the direct middle of that. But my main issue is that ditch is not going to be kept up. And then the city's going to say, hey, we're not touching it, but we supported it. And it's just going to be another trash kit that gets added to the pile. And that's my huge concern. So, thank you.
Councilor Roosevelt.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your comments, and you're exactly right. We have HOAs failing all over. And it's really put a burden on our city staff, our public works. And, we have to come up with something to be able to pay, whether we come up with a special taxing district or something, to pay the maintenance of all these ponds and spray the ponds and to keep them clean. But you're absolutely right. Everybody goes in there with a grand thing. The HOA is going to take care of it. They don't pay their dues. They fold. They don't care. It's done. And now the city's left with it.
Well, I just don't understand how it would benefit the city to add 2 more houses.
Oh, I'm not saying it is. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you're right with the HOAs folding. Thank you.
That's it. Anybody else have any questions for me? Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to come up and speak on this item?
Gary McDowell, 9975 66 Way North. Yes, I've been sworn in.
Thank you.
I just want to remind the city council that over a year ago, when this application first came in, the city also had made a very big announcement and was very proud that they were keeping their rural roots and helping the farmers and the riders around here. And they did the right thing by denying this and changing it from a rural to a residential area. I just hope that, again, tonight, that the city council will do the right thing and be proud and keep our rural roots. Thank you.
Is there okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carrie O'Brien, and I was sworn in. My address is 11077 59th Street North. My husband, John, I, as well as our 3 children, one of my daughters is here tonight. We live directly across the street from this property. I have several concerns I want to discuss this evening as I ask City Council to deny the rezoning. 4 of the 5 proposed lots do not meet the City of Pinellas Parks code and must be approved through the PUD. Codes are in place to ensure homes in a neighborhood are compatible with their surrounding. By approving this tonight, the city would bypass its own objective, LU.1.12.c, to concentrate growth in relatively discrete areas that are compatible with the community character. Clearly, I think we can all agree that squeezing 5 homes on this lot does not support nor fit the characteristic of the existing neighborhood, more specifically the properties on 59th Street. This property and the surrounding properties are covered with trees. Overriding code to put 5 homes on this lot will essentially mean that almost every tree on this lot will be removed. The lot will be covered in concrete with minimal green space. Trees are necessary as they have a vital role in our ecosystem. Trees provide privacy and protect species. Also, their root systems and canopies help rain infiltrate soil instead of running off into the streets. The city of Pinellas Park prides itself as being an environmental community, right? Moreover, Objective LU.1.12a states that development is to be compatible with the natural environment and the overall vision of the community. Furthermore, these homes will be built 4 feet up. There is only 10 feet of side yard to slope the property that is 4 feet higher. 10 feet of side yard does not provide adequate distance to properly slope these yards, let alone add in the proposed berm and swell. We already have an existing flooding problem, and this development will lead to additional flooding. The retention pond is not going to be large enough to accommodate all the rainwater in our rainy season. The applicant speaking tonight on behalf of this case did come out and speak with a few neighbors on 59th Street a year ago. We addressed concerns that are being raised this evening. In trying to compromise, it was suggested to propose 4 homes, not 5, to maintain a more natural environment. From our discussion, my understanding it is about flipping this property to maximize profit for a businessman and not about the neighbors who are currently living here and raising their children in this community. And finally, what concerns my family the most, the proposed design has the entrance and exit to the subdivision directly in front of my home. Can you put up the map where it shows the road, please? If you're not familiar with 59th Street, this country road is very narrow. It cannot accommodate two-way traffic. Per the survey provided, 59th Street is only 17 inches wide in front of my home. Feet. We would appreciate the developer having consideration for the existing homes and place the entrance and exit to the subdivision compatible to the other homes on 59th Street. If rezoning does get approved, I ask that the subdivision entrance and exit be moved to the south of the lot to meet up with my driveway as it currently does. When we built our home 23 years ago, there was a 2-story home and a detached garage with an above apartment on that lot. We intentionally placed our garage and driveway in this location to match up with our neighbors across the street. From my understanding, the road with the subdivision will not be a full-size cul-de-sac and large vehicles will not be able to turn around. Moving the road to the south will avoid my home being constantly disrupted with vehicles making 3-point turns directly in front of my home. I'm wrapping it up. Having an entrance and exit to a 5-home subdivision directly in front of our bedroom and dining room will significantly impact my home directly. This will decrease the value of my home as well. Please consider the characteristics of the surrounding homes and street and deny this rezoning. Thank you for your time. And I do have questions for the applicant.
I don't know how that works, especially since your time's up already.
Well, my husband can come up then.
He gave his time to your mother, if I'm not mistaken. There's a J. O'Brien on there.
Okay, well, I'll find somebody. Thank you.
Questions of the applicant, how does that work?
If they come up, they should direct their questions to you, and then you can ask the applicant to address them on rebuttal.
I don't know if you'd like to go ahead and give the questions to him and ask him to address them when he comes back up for rebuttal, if you'd like to do that. To the, Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak on this item?
Hello, my name is Nicole Cordone. I live at 5944 111th Place in Pinellas Park. I was sworn in. I do have a question, though I didn't know it in advance. So my neighbors at 5932 are out of state and asked that I speak for them. Am I allowed to do that without previously requesting? And how much time?
You would have 3 minutes to wrap it up for both, since they weren't here to fill out the thing, but.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll start with my neighbors, Noel and Craig. They have requested denial of the rezoning for reasons of destroying the habitat for profit. And they are also requesting, instead of having 2 of the homes, if this does go through, not be directly behind their home, because they consider that a hardship, and they just don't want 2 houses behind their property. From my point of view, I'll say I concur with all the other speakers. I've heard their reasons behind it. I'm just going to add a different perspective on it and viewpoint. When my husband and I bought the property about 18 years ago, we loved the beauty and the quietness of our home and the land behind. We knew one day it would be developed. We were not naive to that. We understood that was always going to be a risk if we chose to purchase our property. However, we did not anticipate that majority of that land would be cleared, with majority of those trees being removed. I'm concerned it would set a precedence for Pinellas Park if this rezoning were to happen. It's my peace, it's my solitude. I really enjoy Pinellas Park, and the nature of my job is such that it's very stressful. I work with our veterans, and I have a passion. I was tearful last time I spoke, and I said I wouldn't, but it just changing that environment is really going to cause a hardship on a lot of people who really enjoy the peace that the beauty of that community offers. And I just feel that the owner should have done due diligence and requested the rezoning prior to the purchase of the property, and they're choosing profit over peace and beauty and nature and all that benefits with nature. And sir, I don't recall your name. Wayne, is it? Okay. To be honest with you, you said that the owner would consider building adult community homes?
That's by right use in our zoning district, yes.
Personally, I would welcome that versus 5 large homes because it's providing care for those in need, and that's where my heart and my passion lie. So I'm up here to speak against the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for serving our veterans. Thank you very much. I'm sure that is a stressful job.
Hello, my name's Jeanette Jerzak. I reside at 5954 111th Place North, Summerlin Estates. My property backs up to this proposed development. I did some research, and the Land Development Code for Pinellas Park, Article 4 is Environment and Habitat Preservation. Section 18-408 talks about tree replacement. It says 16,000 square feet, you have to replace at least 8 trees. And I think in previous hearings, they mentioned there were like 75 trees that they've marked that were going to be taken down. And according to the property appraiser site, this lot is 79,353 square feet. How many trees does he have to replant if he's taken down 75? Only 8 trees to replace 75?
It has to do with design and also not only with him, but any other person who builds in the city of Pinellas Park. If they cannot adequately put all of the trees back, they can put money into what we call a tree bank, and those trees are then planted elsewhere in the city of Pinellas Park.
Okay. Yeah, and that one overlay, it shows the green over that property, and all around it is like brown. It's like barren, it seems like. We need to preserve the trees. And also, there's been some discussion about the HOA. If there's only 5 homes, that the fees are going to be distributed between 5 homes. That's not going to last very long for 5 residents to be bearing the burden of those fees to maintain the property and the pond and the roads and all that. I think it's not feasible. I object, and I reiterate everyone else's objections.
Did you address Craig?
Okay. I can't hear everything. The speaker's not that loud, so thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to come up and speak on this item?
Hi, good evening. My name is Kristen Redding. I live at 7970 55th Way. I don't actually live in that community, but I do have an opinion, so that's why I'm here this evening. My concern is, I think somebody's already mentioned this, and it's a very big concern, being that I've lived here my entire life. Always loved horses, never got one, but I love where I live, and I love that area from 102nd all the way out to 118th. That is a very rural area. I think we have Country Haven, these people subdivision, and then one more, and that's it. Everything out there are very large lots, some very large. I wish I made more money. I'm in education, but I would certainly be buying that property and putting one house and enjoying that. But my concern would be is that we have an individual who came in and he purchased property, and he didn't purchase it to invest into the community like all these people. I mean, 50 years, 40 years, that's a long time. These people are here because they're invested in the community. They've lived here for a really long time, and we have an individual who came in and bought a piece of property and in essence is flipping it. And, you know, he wants to do the R3, but don't, 4 of the 5 lots don't even meet the R3. So then you got to put this extra thing on here. I'm kind of been learning what it is. You got to put an extra piece on there to then make exemptions to the R3 so that it's allowable. So if city council approves that, we absolutely are setting a precedent that the next time that there's a large lot, somebody's going to come in and say, okay, well, we changed zoning before. Let's take that area and make it where it's a community with sardine houses. That's what I call it. I live in a sardine neighborhood where I can stand in my backyard and I can hear my neighbor's conversation. But I think the vote today is a possibility to preserve that area and to say to people that are coming in to flip the properties that we want to preserve that area. Pinellas Park is developing, it's growing. We've got all kinds of communities, townhouses, big houses, very average houses. We have an area that I do think we need to protect and preserve so that that's an opportunity for somebody that wants to come in and buy it to put their horses or simply just have a home and enjoy the land. I know this vote puts in a situation because we have, you know, the mayor's boss, who's a friend of the city. He's been around for a really long time. And I think that we have to listen to your community members because he's got lots of projects going on. I watch the city council meetings quite regularly, and he has a lot of projects. He's going to continue to have projects. But if you build these 5 homes and it creates issues that they've talked about, he's moved on. The owners flipped his property, and now they're left to deal with all of that. And I think that's a sad situation. I even remember one of the city council meetings, the mayor talked about setting precedents. And actually in that one, she voted no because she said, we don't want to set precedents
That
in our
was for
city.
a farm on 62nd Avenue that got turned into townhomes.
No, ma'am, it was down here. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and
But my point to
also
it
the
is
other one.
that there has been talk of city council about not setting precedents. And that's in essence what's going to happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak on this item? Seeing none, it is time for the applicant to come up for rebuttals. And I will ask really quickly of Mr. Wayne, really quickly. The owner lives in Pinellas Park.
The owner lives on 82nd Avenue in Pinellas Park, and he intends to live in this neighborhood. He lives west of Belgian Road. He lives south of 82nd Avenue, east of 66. He intends to build his private residence and live in this community.
Okay, who should?
All right. Just because I have a short memory, I want to respond to Carrie's request. We will be more than happy to shift that driveway to the south to line that up with your driveway. Shouldn't be a problem. And yes, I have been serving this city for 35 years now, at least 35 years. I've been in this county for 44 years, and I love this community more than anywhere else. I live in Madura Beach, but I spend all my time here. And I've been on the chamber board for 35 years. So I have absolutely no intentions of causing any issues, lowering the quality of life in this town. In fact, it's the opposite. I even went to Tallahassee on my own to recognize the previous fire chief that was sworn in to Hall of Fame. So
Police chief.
Police chief. What did I say?
Fire.
I'm sorry. That's just age. So I do a lot of things for this town, and it comes from the bottom of my heart. So yes, we will move shift the driveway, and the houses, we would like to request 2 stories. I'm just responding to the comment that she put in here. Size of the retention pond, it meets a 25-year storm. Fencing, yes, we'll be putting fencing all around the property. except obviously the entrance to the site? And how many live oak trees are on the property? I do not have the answer to. However, as you all have mentioned, the city has their ordinance, and we will have to maintain and get the site plan approved, and your staff will have certain requirements for any trees to be removed. However, these are homes, and people love trees, and they would love to sort of move the houses where they can save trees. I love trees personally, and they create a shade, beauty, so forth and so on. So, but there were several things were mentioned in here, and I just like to say wow, because this is overall is only 5 lots, and we're only looking at 1.27 extra units. 1 unit, 1.27. It's not like we're building a major subdivision here. It's a tiny thing. And also Dina, when she came up and we had shown the project or the subdivision to the northwest of us, she said, well, the access is over there. It doesn't really apply, but a whole bunch of neighbors came in here and talked about this project from all over the place. So that's, yes. So as far as the drainage issues that you have, if we build 3 lots, these 3 lots will not require retention pond. SwiftMud does not require any retention pond. A maximum of 3 lot subdivision. Right now, you have issues with drainage, and if we do not put a retention pond in here because of 3 lots do not require it, it will add to the drainage problems. We're building a retention pond. We will provide extra storm drains, and you see the plans, and the city can enforce your regulations and the commitments we make in here to provide adequate storm drains so that you will have a positive drainage from Dina's property, from Carrie's property, to 110th Avenue. I mean, there's a pipe in there. We put, so we'll take care of the drainage problems. Also with the sanitary, I mean, yes, we met a year ago, and you guys were basically saying the sanitary sewer gets clogged all the time. You said it. I was there, and I'm not, and I swear to it. Those sanitary lines were just do not meet code. They cross the street. They just come from, from Dina's house. I think Carrie has a septic tank in the back. So we will provide a nice sanitary sewer. The neighborhood can connect to it, and we will go on the record that we will provide adequate sanitary sewer and adequate Y connections so that they all can connect to it. So for 1.7, 1.2, 1.25 units, no, entirely. Right now, we're allowed to build three units. 3.7 actually when you multiply the numbers.
I need you to wrap it up, please.
Okay. So 3.7 units is what we can build. 3.7 something, and 1.27 extra lots is what we're asking. 1.125, and for that we're providing a storm drain. We're providing sanitary sewer. There's accountability for the subdivision. With 3 lots, they can just go and build whatever they want. So there were several things that they had mentioned in here, but we're just here to improve the property. The neighbors I know will be happy. I don't know why they're afraid. And she had also mentioned that she would annex the property. If you annex the property, would you go on record to say that you would lower your density to RR, what we have? Right now, you can build 5 units an acre. Will you go down to what we have once you annex? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sedell.
Yes, Hoosh, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to go back a year ago. And really, I've always looked at you, and you guys listen to this, I've always looked at him as an ambassador to our city.
And I have a T-shirt to prove it.
Because you have been good.
Yes.
You promoted our city, and I appreciate it. But right now, that's all off the table, my friend. My question to you is, what is the percentage of our our properties in our community? What do you think the percentage is?
I really don't know.
How about less than 1%?
So why is that relevant?
Why is it relevant? Because we're trying to salvage those properties, just like farm. Why is it important if we only got less than 2% of farms? Because that's what our community is based on. Here's a newspaper article right here. St. Pete Times. No, excuse me, Tampa Bay Times. Sunday, May 14th. And what's the title? The Bullseye of Pinellas County. Pinellas Park has a lot more than geographic going for it. You're right. We're known as a community that has horses, that has an ag farm. You know, Patty's mom, Patty herself works at that ag farm up there. Why? To get back to the kids. You don't have that anymore. You do not have that anymore. So she's out there working all the time trying to educate kids on animals and everything else. That's something we want in Pinellas Park. That's something we care about. You know, I'm just.
I totally hear you.
Oh, okay, my turn. You know, you were under oath saying that if you build 3 residential lots, the flooding's going to be worse. That was your.
Yeah, there won't be any. Yes.
It's not going to be worse, and they can't. They still have to take care of their waters. Okay, you know that the sewer backing up. It wasn't because the sewer system's not good on their part. It was backing up at 110th where it does the S. Okay. You're not going to be providing anything out there for those residents more than the city will provide for them. That there is drainage there right now, it doesn't work. That's because it hasn't been maintained. Whose fault is that? Well, it used to be the county's. But now this has all come to light, and it's ours. And we're going to take responsibility for that. The sewer's deep enough right now to eliminate that septic tank. You know, I just want you to hear these residents on what they want, on what that's their community. That's where they live. They look out their back door and see that. I don't know what you see from your house. I don't know what this gentleman sees from his house. You know, but what I'm saying is 3 homes. You know, you say it's not that much more, 1.3. Well, that 0.3 is another home. You know, so it's not 1.3 more. It's 2 more. And the neighborhood don't want it. I don't want it. And I hope that this council will want to retain the properties that we're committed to. Because once they're built, they're gone. We just lost a horse farm with 4 acres on 66th Street. It's gone. When I heard that the guy's mom was selling it, I thought, there's no way. Gosh, this is great.
So this is a conversation, or are you asking me questions?
No, I'm having a conversation with you, just letting you know.
Just curious.
Yeah. You follow me?
Yeah, I follow you.
Just letting you know what the residents feel in this community.
You know,
I really don't care if he bought something and wants to redevelop it. That's fine. Build 3 beautiful homes out there. Make your money back there. I don't care. But don't change the people's way of life. And it's like you said, this one lady, she don't live nowhere near there. Why should she be? This is her community. That's her ag farm. These are properties that her kids are going to grow up around. And that's all I'm saying. I've always had a great deal of respect for you. And I know you're just trying to do a job. And I can appreciate that. I'm just telling you, I am 100% against you.
I have known that.
No doubt.
It's very, very clear. It's very clear. Now, you said that I was an ambassador. You have known me as an ambassador. That is correct. I came in here and I have the shirt to prove it, and I will be an ambassador forever, whether you respect it or not. So
I respect you.
I appreciate.
I know you're just trying to do a job, but I want you to listen
talking
to the
about the horse
residents.
farm, I was the one that actually, with Mike Gustafson and Terry England, we were the ones that created that once a month horse show. Patty, God bless her soul. At the time, I was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I had asked Patty to come and become the chair of my equestrian committee, because when I was the chair of the board, I started an equestrians committee, and I brought my picture and things last time, talking about the last time that I was here, right?
Mhm.
There was an article about that. So because of Patty's input, because of her dedication to horses and horse farms and so forth and so on, I saw that potential. We brought the neighborhood together. The horse people typically don't get along. We had every month, we had a horse committee, horse meetings. We brought out together. We created a very nice, over 800, 900 horses were, in this town at this time. So the last Sunday of the month, the horse farm, that horse show that's there from that era, that's when we started. So I want you to know that I love horses. As a matter of fact, I have a bronze horse. I had displayed it in this city for a long time. I don't know if you recall that. It's a life-size horse. And I have it in the middle of my living room. I have it in the middle of my living room. I love horses. But this is a property that's going to be divided into 3 lots.
Right.
Where are you going to put horses? So whether it's 3 or 5, what does that have anything to do with the horses?
Well, I can respond. It's driving through a community and seeing that it's not overbuilt. I wish we could go back years ago and change some of the mistakes we've made in the past.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, I know we're discussing and all that, but we dedicated about an acre of this land to a retention pond and a driveway.
Mhm.
So we could bring the property lines all the way to the end. Right now, we have a minimum lot size of 165 square feet.
Bring it to the end of what?
We can extend the property lines all the way to the south property. In other words, each lot can extend all the way to the south property line.
Sure.
And we can create the road as an easement.
Sure.
So that would give you an extra 1,000 square feet or 2,000 square feet or whatever. But nevertheless, by adding 1 1/4
Adding
unit,
2 homes.
we are going to spend a lot more money improving the neighborhood.
Right. Build 3, save the money, bump up the price of the home.
And I respectfully request this commission to approve this project. Thank you.
Councilwoman Reed, I have Vice Mayor Reed, sorry.
You're good. I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So in this that nobody has touched on that was spoke by Mr. Wayne, because I don't know your last name. And maybe Megan might have to input on this. There was a comment made that if we didn't approve it, that you would build ALFs plural. So what can they build plural of ALFs, which would be
Type 1 daycare center.
that you wouldn't have to come in front of us for, right?
No.
So what you're saying is, instead of 3 houses, the owner's looking at building it out to ALFs, multiple.
We submitted plans to the city for 3 homes, and the city put all of the infrastructure requirements on us, and it's just not that we had agreed to for the 5 homes during the first application.
You want to come up to the mic? I think that's where you're supposed to be.
So the 3-home subdivision is just not economically feasible. So that's why we've come back for the 5 homes, and we're simply asking for 5 homes as opposed to 3. And if that is turned down, then we're going to have to look at other development opportunities. And with the 2 acres, there's enough space to build an ACLF or a type 1 daycare, which is by right allowed under RR zoning.
And how
And if the neighborhood, and we don't think that's compatible with the neighborhood. We'd much rather have 5 homes there. 5 homes is completely compatible with Summerlin Estates. Our property abuts 5 of the lots there that are zoned R2, and we're asking for R3 zoning. So it's completely compatible with that subdivision directly to the north.
And then, hold on.
Hi.
Hello. So
they can do residential
without coming in front of us, without
coming in front of us, they can do a community residential home, which is essentially a home, and it's limited to 6 or fewer residents. They can also do a daycare center type 1.
Which is adult daycare.
which could be an adult or a child care. And type 1 means that it's a care facility also within a home. So both of them are essentially homes, but they have a health care aspect to them.
How many ALFs can they build there?
As for the amount of homes, it doesn't say. It just says that it's limited to 6 or fewer residents. So it's there's 6 people who can be in those. So if
But
they
it could
build-
take up however much space they want if they built a.
right.
Right. Okay.
By our calculations, we could put 2 on those 2 acres.
You can put 2 ALFs on there.
Right.
Each one holding 6 people.
Right.
And staff.
And then if the neighbors have concerns about traffic, think about doctors, nurses, occupational therapists, speech therapists. There'd be a parade of healthcare workers coming and going all day long.
So you guys basically need to get your money back, is what this is coming down to. You're going to build whatever you need to build to get the money back to develop the property. Basically, that's what, because you can't, 3 houses doesn't make it profitable to develop it.
Correct.
So you're going to develop it to be able to get your money out of it.
Right.
That's what the owner's going to do, not you, because you don't own it. So whatever, okay. And then why could they not build 3 houses, even if they were 3 stories? In my understanding, by what you put in there this time, because since we looked at this last time, they technically could do 3 homes and 3 ADUs, which would be 6 homes.
Anybody could.
Right. So, oh, thought my mic wasn't on. So if they do 3 lots, it's allowed to whatever any other residential lot would be allowed to. So if they can build a single family home and an ADU.
And that's the same with 5 homes too, right?
The 5 homes with the PUD, yeah, they would still be able to do.
Now, with the PUD, because I'm new to PUDs,
Mhm.
can we regulate that they could not build ADUs onto that and keep it within certain parameters to where they wouldn't go to 6 homes? Because they could go to 6 homes now.
Right. So
without even asking
with
us.
the PUD, with what they're requesting, you wouldn't have to add anything extra about the 5 single-family lots because that's what they are requesting. That's what's already in the PUD or proposed to be in the PUD. As for the accessory dwelling units, you can definitely make a condition that they that won't be allowed.
Because they could.
Yeah.
They could get their, if we passed it, then they could add ADUs to every one of these.
Yeah.
So if we control it, then we can not allow them to do that and keep it at 2 stories, not 3 stories. And then without, I'm just making it clear. So then if they can make them up to 35 feet, which is 3 stories. Am I wrong?
It could be. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the 5 houses could be 3 stories.
Flat roof?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think.
Last
we
time
can
it
see
came
that.
up, they wanted 3 feet.
We can actually commit to 2 stories.
But you could do 3 stories. I'm doing coulds
That's
and that.
correct, but the PUD, that's correct. PUD.
There's a height.
Okay.
That's put a cap on it.
So,
We
okay.
would concede that, limited to 2-story homes and no accessory dwelling units.
Now, without coming in front of us,
Mhm.
I'm weighing out all these options. That's what I'm doing out loud so we can all think about it. So without coming in front of us, they could build 3 stories
Mhm.
and 3 ADU or whatever they're called
Right.
now.
So they can build 3 lots with the maximum height, which is 35 feet, which can be 3 stories, as well as an ADU.
And they don't have to do anything with drainage other than what normal people would have to do with drainage. They don't have to put in retention ponds.
And that would be up to Swift Mud, but yes,
And with the ADUs, because we just did this, this is new to,
this is new to all.
this is brand new to all of us. They would have to provide separate parking and so forth for each one. So that would be a separate family coming into that ADU. So that'd be 2 families on 1 lot. So 6 families on this property.
Correct. Then the parking would have to be on site, not in the road.
So it'd have to be on site. It would then be on that designated lot, right? Okay. So it'd be, okay. I just had to, and then on these properties, when you pull in the fire trucks and the garbage and so forth, they can go all the way down and turn around and come back out?
Yes. The cul-de-sac is designed
Right now, they cannot. Right now, as it currently exists, the road dead ends. There's no cul-de-sac at the end. There's no T turnaround at the end. But we are putting a cul-de-sac there.
No, I'm
So-
talking about your
Your
plan.
plan.
On your property.
Yes,
too.
yeah, we're putting a cul-de-sac there. However, they don't have to go there. They can come up, back into a road and then leave. It's a T turnaround,
I
basically.
know, but my question was, can the
She's
fire
wanting to know if this cul-de-sac is designed for fire trucks and garbage trucks.
to
Yes,
turn
it meets-
around?
It meets code, yes. It meets your code. It meets your minimum dimensional requirement.
No, I understand that, but I'm just
Chief.
asking if they turn around. Yes, sir.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Microphone, sir.
Fire Chief of Pinellas Park. So there is a requirement for it to be able to be a turnaround of the vehicle based on a certain distance. I haven't studied the plans to look at whether they meet that distance or not, but normally these cul-de-sacs do meet the ability for us to make a turnaround. And I would have to look at the code because of if the road's not improved, it doesn't meet our width requirements. So because it's a 2-lane, if I'm correct in what I'm hearing, and again, I haven't reviewed the plan to make sure that what their plan is meets code on the road of what he's talking about, being able to turn around and back in, because we need 20 feet, and from what I understand, the road was 17 feet. So without an improvement on the road, that outside road may not meet the requirement because it is a 2-way road. It would have to be improved to 20 feet for us to be considered on a 2-way road that it would meet code if we were to use that for our turnaround. Did that make sense?
It
Yeah,
does.
it does.
So do you know what I'm saying, Megan?
So, yeah, so currently 59, the road, not this road that's part of the proposed development, but 59 is currently approximately 18 feet wide. But the road that's in the PUD is proposed to be 20 feet wide, which I did talk with Chris Asselberg earlier, and he also did review this as well as part of the zoning review. And it was approved by fire through review. But so from my understanding is if the length of the road is more than 100 feet, they do need a cul-de-sac or a T-turn or something at the end, which they do have. And from my understanding as well, the cul-de-sac does meet the turning radius for fire.
And garbage. Which
And-
I would assume, because garbage is
Right,
shorter than
yeah.
that. I'm just assuming. But
And when we did their plans
I would not want to
review
hear
for
the
the
beep
cul-de-sac, we would review it based on our vehicles and everything like that. That just because this plan says it, we have to see their actual plans.
Right.
And then we'll do a review of it to make sure that it would meet our turning radius and with the ability to be able to turn around.
Also, I'd like to go on record to say that, now, I have measured that road to be 19 feet myself. However, when we're finished, I'd like to go on record to say we will make the entire road 20 feet from one end to the other to meet the fire requirements. 20 feet wide.
Who's, I have a question if I could, Mayor.
As soon as
Oh, you're not done? I'm
Vice Mayor
sorry,
Reed's
go ahead.
done.
I'm just having an
Go ahead.
inward thought.
Take your time. Take your time, girl.
No, because we recently had a property that we thought was going to be one thing, and it ended up being something totally different. And so now I've learned about these being able to, whether the people are able to build this and build this. So do we keep control over it and say this is this, or do we say here it's going to be an ALF or whatever? Because they can make a strip center, they can make anything out of that. Am I correct with the RR?
Sorry. RR is very restricted of its uses. So if it were to remain as RR, it would really be some form of a residential use.
Okay. And could it be multi-unit, like a triplex, a duplex, or just single family?
It would just be single family.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, Hoosh, I got a question for you. And for the gentleman that's with you also, because he was saying when we took it from 3 homes to 5 homes, the cost jumped up astronomically. Is that correct? Because then you were required the road, the utilities. You know, why don't we build it different? Why don't we build it like they did down on 58th Street? You know, you can have your own. Each house could have their own force main.
force main?
Yeah, you don't need to put in a gravity line.
You mean
Well,
like
how much is that
3
gonna
lift
save you?
stations? Really?
Huh?
3 lift stations?
Yeah, 3 individual. I mean, I've got neighbors all around me that have them,
I know you were the director of utilities.
Yes, sir.
You helped me out quite a bit.
right?
3 lift stations?
Yeah, private lift stations, the homeowner owns them. Yeah, all it is a pump.
I know, I don't really know what Wayne had.
And you
done.
don't have to bring a water main a 6-inch water main all the way down there.
Well, it would be
But
nice to bring it. It would be nice for everybody to enjoy fighting fire, God forbid.
Well, we do have fire protection out there. Is it residential? Is it 500 feet, chief? 500 feet. And they are not going to drive past that fire hydrant on 110th and 59th to go to one halfway down your street. They're not
Right
going to drive
now,
past.
let me just say, right now, the fire trucks cannot go on 59th Street, and they're gonna have to back up all the way to 110th.
Well, let me assure you, that's what they'll do, just like they would do now, just like the garbage trucks do now.
But that's not a good thing, is it?
I
You wanna be.
I'll
you
know.
wanna be
Ask the
helpful. You
residents
wanna
out
be-
there. Y'all like
You
it?
wanna be taking care of your departments.
I think they like it out there. I think they're happy with the garbage truck backing up.
There's nothing I can say to
You're
convince
right.
you otherwise, so
You're
why
right.
even bother?
You're right. I'm ready to
So-
make a motion. Unless any
Well,
other
they might
council
have-
members got questions.
Rick or Tim have anything?
Oh, no, we'll find out.
No, but I think, I do think that some very good points are being brought up on both sides of there. I don't like to see it be a antagonistic type of deal for us. We all want what's best for the city, what's best for the residents, and what's best for the property owner, and we have to respect all of those things. And I think that there have been some points that, some valid points that have been brought up. Well, I'd say get a GoFundMe up and buy the property.
A what?
A GoFundMe page. Buy the property up and keep it empty if you want. If you own it, you can do what you want with it, but,
It's always complicated when you start getting into this. When you start looking at it, it looks like a simple way of doing 5 houses. Wow, that's an easy thing to do. But then when you look at the zoning itself and look what's available to happen there, I personally, I like ALFs. I hope I never see one for a long, long time. But I don't want to live next door to one because of I know exactly what the traffic is going to be like. The accessory uses, the accessory houses that we just passed, that is something new that we're still working on. It's a tough one. I've got neighbors out here that don't want to have more neighbors nearby, and eventually something's going to get built there. It'd be pretty swell if Mr. Wynn would buy for his own house, make a big house. I'm sure everybody would be happy then. But that's the reason we're here. We have to make a decision. So half the people here are going to love me, and half of you are going to hate me. So you all figure out what you got to do.
We will commit to limiting the houses to 2 stories and no accessory dwelling units for the 5 lots. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we deny ordinance number 4193, continued public hearing, second and final reading, asking for a roll call vote.
I do not have a second, so will I assume that the motion has failed?
Motion, yes, ma'am, dies without a second.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for passing?
Well, I guess I could try to do that.
Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion, we approve that. No, I'm hearing stuff in the audience already. It's a travesty. Huh, really? I withdraw my motion. Okay, so now you figure it out. Ma'am, you figure it out. We're up here five of us trying to figure this out the best way we can. And we know one thing, that you are going to be mad at us no matter what we do. And you know what's the bad thing about it? And after 26 years of sitting there, I've seen these subdivisions come in and people always say, oh, it's a terrible thing. But you know, after it's built, it's not so bad. Oh, I understand. I want to be young again, you know, with my regular hair color instead of that gray stuff. Yeah, no, I understand. I've lived this thing for a year.
We have to.
So now I'll try it again if you guys would like me to try it.
No, I'm fine.
No, you're fine?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve it. Continued public hearing, second final hearing. Let's see, what else? There were some promises made not to be more than 2 stories. No accessory buildings or accessory uses to be allowed in that particular subdivision. There must be a homeowners association that takes full control over the drainage. All sewer lines that have been promised will be installed. Whatever else, I don't know. Huh?
They gotta move the driveway.
And moving the driveway to where it's not in somebody's bedroom or something. Yeah.
How wide is that whole driveway? The whole driveway?
Ma'am, I'm making it.
Only 20 foot? What,
Yeah.
no, on your plan.
Okay, you guys can discuss that in just a moment because it's not on record. You have to be in front of the microphone and the public hearing was closed.
Not at this point.
Can you go over and discuss that with her?
The public meeting is closed and there's.
Has to meet city regulations. Period.
The public meeting's closed, so can
Okay.
you go discuss that with this lady here, please? Just sit next to her and discuss it.
Anyway, I got a motion on the floor. Need a second.
Okay, just to reiterate, the motion was for it to be the 5 units, no accessory units on the site, for it to be 2 stories tall only. That the sewers going out and down 59th Street so that others can attach to it if they choose to. And that the road going in and out of the subdivision would be adjusted not to
That's correct.
go in her windows.
And it has to have a fence. We didn't get to the fence.
And for the property to be fenced
Yeah,
correctly,
that's
other than at the
That's already
entrance.
part of the code. So,
And that, yes, that is part of the
Yeah.
code, that is true.
except if we want to put 8-foot fences, I don't know. But right now it's 6. So. Yeah, that's
we
my
have-
motion.
Is
A
the,
second.
well, if we second it, we still are discussing them.
Yeah, you
We didn't
can.
get to the
Mhm.
shrubbery up front. Like, are they gonna have trees and shrubbery up front?
Well, I need a second for it that be
I know.
part of this
That's part of the
discussion.
motion.
We need a second for discussion.
You can make it second for discussion.
And then we can discuss it.
Yeah,
Then you and
I'll make a second for
council
discussion.
can discuss.
there you go.
I got a question. Could the clerk read back what Mr. Butler, his motion was?
It could take a year.
No, because in the very beginning, missed a part. Did you miss
part?
it also?
Motion to is approve.
Approve, yep. Approve what?
Ordinance. One moment. Ordinance number
No,
4193
no,
with
he
the
did not
following
say, he
conditions.
did not say ordinance. He did not say ordinance number 4193. Excuse me. That was not part of the motion, so the motion dies.
Huh. Okay, well, I amend my motion to include ordinance number 4193, continued public hearing, second and final reading.
Now that makes it legit.
Okay. Second concur?
Yes.
Thank you.
For discussion.
Thank you. So in the front, is there going, where'd they go? Is there gonna be, we've talked about the trees, we've talked about Pinellas Park and all of that, because I know that no matter what you build here, whether it be 3 or an ALF, or whatever, something's coming in there. So when you're gonna have to adhere to the tree bank thing or so forth, but in the front of that, because they enjoy looking at something nice and not just the development.
Okay,
What? I can't say that?
I have to open the public hearing again in order for you to ask questions of the applicant.
Well, I
So
thought
I'm
I said that.
opening the public hearing for the applicant to answer questions of Vice Mayor Reed.
I'll be more than happy to.
Okay. I don't care.
Open it to-
I mean, we've all been here for a while, so it don't matter to me. But as far as the trees and that goes, that it will be not just a I mean, like, that you're gonna make it look nice. There's gotta be something in there as far as the trees are keeping it, because there's a lot of trees in the front. They've expressed that desire, whoever's answering this, to keep something
Yes. Well,
and alive.
as a part of Councilman Butler's motion, a condition can be, let's say, live oaks at like 25 foot on center in the front with like maybe wax myrtles at every 10 feet. I mean,
Crepe myrtles, not wax myrtles, not Clearwater.
well, yeah, the only reason I said wax because wax myrtle is 24/7. Crepe myrtles become twigs during cold season.
During the winter.
So, yes. So you like to come here?
Are we, can she speak or not? You opened the public comment, so that means anybody can speak, no?
Well, we
Okay, I'm gonna ask
Okay.
you because this was something that we had spoke about.
Right.
When we spoke prior, as far as that you're,
So, as I'm understanding it, he's willing to move the driveway with 3 or 5 houses. He's willing to move the driveway. And I was asking him, what is the width? Because for like a big truck, 3-point turns, you got to have a pretty wide
I
driveway.
think the standard road is 24 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
well, and they shouldn't be doing 2 3-point turns,
Yes,
because that's
24
why I
feet.
specifically
But-
asked that question, if
but-
they're gonna be able to drive down, turn around and
The
come back out.
cul-de-sac, they show the cul-de-sac, but it doesn't have the radius. So that doesn't work.
It does. They just verified it, and the
It is.
fire department did.
It
Hand her
is.
your big drawing, please, so that you can see your big drawing
Yeah.
instead of these little.
So cul-de-sac is enough room for them to turn around in,
Hand your drawing to Patty.
to me, I guess. I don't know. I'm new to
That
this.
one right there.
A lot of times we can't totally hear back here. That's why I moved close.
Yeah. Well, if they're making a statement that they can turn around on there, well, then tell me. Somebody has to tell me, don't just everybody shake their heads at me. Jeez.
So in other words, somebody comes to my house, they can't go down the road.
Oh, I understand that, but she's talking about the trucks. Yeah, her road is public.
Pardon me?
Hoosh, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you're going to be moving that new road, that private road, to the south, correct?
Yes.
How are you ever going to make that cul-de-sac fit in there?
The cul-de-sac will stay.
I'm
All you're
asking
doing
him.
is-
Yes, absolutely. She's right. And just bring the line parallel 5 feet north of the property line or 10 feet depending on the buffer.
I'm talking, you're going to move it south towards the retention pond, right?
Yes, the retention pond will be relocated.
Right. And you're going to move it south.
Yes.
And don't you have to move you're going to have to move your yes.
Can I go up there and show it to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
This cul-de-sac will remain where it is. The road will be here and then there'll be a radius. The radius will come in here to this road.
We just want the center.
You're just moving it 5 feet.
No,
be, let's say, the buffer, I think there should be a landscape buffer on the south property line. So the road will be 5 feet north of the south property line. This roadway will be in line with this line. Garden.
So your road's going to start there?
Yes.
Where's your retention pond going?
We'll have to find another location for it.
In somebody's front yard?
I mean, in the backyard. If we are trying to meet the residents or residents request, then if the road's going to the south, the retention pond has to go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
But the plan is
So that'll come back in front of us to approve the plan, because this plan's not being approved?
The south has drainage problems too. But, so when the driveway moves, there are already trees there, right, within the first, what do you
The front
call
of it,
The
right
front
there.
of it.
Yeah.
There's a row of trees, which you won't be building there. So I was feeling as though that row of trees might be able to stay there. They're big trees. And they're not in a perfect line, but they're in a somewhat of a line. So if they're gonna, the road's moving here, I was looking at it thinking maybe those trees could stay there. The traffic would, well, it'll come back this way anyhow now. So
Did you hear what she said? There's a row of trees there, big trees that might be able to stay because they're in the
right, they'll be
easement.
in the
They're not
right
in
of
the.
right now, you know where the little ditch is, or the little ditch beside the driveway. Go a little bit behind that ditch, and there's almost a row of trees. They're not a perfectly row, but they're, if that could, somehow they could stay there, that's a buffer to the somewhat tall the traffic.
yes, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it may be on another picture.
Let me just, okay, let me make another commitment. The building line will be 35 feet west of the building line. It doesn't mean they'll build it, but they can start 35 feet over. So all the rows and trees that you're requesting can be saved.
That'll be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they're gonna move
Out to the podium.
Got to come up to the podium.
If they're gonna move that retention pond, where would the plan be to move it and how are they gonna maintain it? Because I think we're gonna make a lot of promises here and then the whole curveball of, hey, let's make a threat of an ALF, bring the ALF on. I don't know how they can do 2 ALFs now. When I bought that property, I had to do a bunch of research before I bought it. You guys had a huge meeting about it before I bought it and then after I bought it. And I was told 1 ALF. So I don't know if it changed over the last
20 years?
Huh?
Yeah, a lot of things have changed the last 20 years.
No, I just bought the place less than 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So I was just told less
What was
than
the zoning when you bought it?
RR,
How many acres do you have?
1.97.
What was the land use?
He's got almost twice that much.
No, he doesn't.
He's got 2.7, so 1 acre per ALF, that would give him 2.
No, I don't see what
To clarify, he does have 1.7.
He has less than I have.
Less, and he's allowed to get 2 instead of 1.
Well, so this is for the group homes, the ALFs. So the group homes are essentially homes. So if he divides the lot into 2 and builds 2 homes, then he can have 2 group homes, assisted living homes.
My whole thing is we're here for the, I think he's saying a lot of promises that aren't going to be kept. Like the last thing that was just said was, oh, Mr. Wynn wants to build his house here. If that was true, why isn't Mr. Wynn here trying to fight for his future home? I mean, come on, let's call the cards where they are and let's be realistic.
I just want to mention that if this plan is significantly changed, we might have to come back because of the fact that, as Megan said, we're approving certain setback variances in the PUD. So if it does get significantly changed, I think they would have to resubmit.
That only makes sense because those are significant changes when you're moving that road.
Can I speak?
Absolutely.
So your comment you just made was you don't want to do that. You don't want to come back.
Well, this is our second attempt.
I understand that, but I very strongly am in that road coming into their house. If it's that they can't be moved, or you're like, I don't want to come back because if that's the significant change, because I don't want cars coming into my road, into my house. I don't. And so you're saying that that's not something. Am I asking it right? Am I saying it right? Like, so if they have to, if you have to move, if they have to move the road, then it has to come back for another approval of the plan, right, Erica?
If it affects, I imagine that would probably affect the lots and the lot sizes and the setbacks. If those are affected, then they would have to come back.
Go ahead, Nick.
Nick Colonna, Community Development Administrator, and I have not been sworn in.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Thank you.
Just to clarify a couple of points here, I don't know if it's going to help or not, but just to kind of recap, you have to think about it from two perspectives. What's here before you is a rezoning to the R3, and it's for a PUD as the design that's before you. And there's been a couple of additions with the motion that could work, but there's been other additions that may not work, and staff has not worked through that. There is a strong potential, especially with moving the road and the requirement of asking for additional landscaping, which is not bad things. These are things that could be worked out. Would impede what you are approving, and you will have to come back to amend the PUD to make that work. That's something you need to understand going into it, and something council needs to weigh as you're doing now. So you have one item before you as is with some additions, and these other changes that are coming up, and understandably so, will affect the PUD. So you have to make that decision. What's best for you on both sides?
We will do it. If the changes that we are making in order to meet the expectations of the neighbors cause us to resubmit plans, we'll do it. No problem.
So
You can't have a driveway. These people have lived there for this many years without cars coming in their front door.
We've committed ourselves, and there are some discussions as far as the width of the road being widened, things of that nature. So we will draw it up so that those will not be conditions anymore. Will be a part of the commitment that we'll be making to you. So we'll go ahead, and I know you have to talk to the ownership and may not be happy, but I'd like to say that I'd like to request the continuation of this meeting so that you can submit a new plan.
Okay, I withdraw my motion. And then what I'd like to do is continue this public hearing one more time for 60 days out. How many days out do you want to do?
It has to be reapproved by staff or recommended for approval. So I don't know.
30 days.
Will it have to go back before planning and zoning as well?
No.
Yes.
Why?
You're saying
Yeah,
yes.
it's got to be posted. Yep. He's coming back taking a chance.
Okay, so that's 60 days.
At least.
Okay. That's my motion and my comment on the table. I'm not even sure I need a second, do I?
You need a second?
Not on the table.
I'll second it.
Does he need a second?
Okay.
Yeah.
All
right.
Takes precedence.
All right, guys. Next time you come in here, I want brownies, cookies,
And is there,
something. I'll have low sugar, donuts. Okay.
So we got nowhere.
but can
denied.
you,
But it was a
and
good practice.
somehow, if you know all the people that are sitting here, and especially the people that it's affecting, those right here, like,
During the P and Z, I think they can come and.
no, you can talk to them. And you guys can sit down and maybe come to an agreement of what it is. She lives right across the street, and the other daughter. So maybe this is something. Maybe
Get her phone number and her
because
email address.
I would rather it
so that you
be
can send her a set of plans
that there's something
that she can share with the
we
neighbor.
can control.
And I
No
agree
problem.
because we were told by a man out there that the subdivision is going to be 5 relatives. But Mr. Hoosh said no, but now he's saying, yes, Mr. Wynn's going to live there. So what's the truth?
Who knows? It really doesn't matter to us who lives there.
We can work with him if
Well,
he's going to live there with his family versus
Then, ma'am, I would not suggest working with any developer. You need to figure out what we're going to prove once and for all. Don't take anybody's word for what they're going to tell you because they could lie to you.
just asked us to work with them. That's what we want to do.
Well, that's working with Hoosh and them. Yeah, that would be a great thing to do. You guys should have been working.
And also
together.
what you could do too is, talk to your friends, talk to your
Sure.
people in your community, get them out of, hey, everybody up here is elected.
And ask
You
them
know
what
what? If you don't like what we give, you can always vote us out.
Except me.
So bring the troops.
I'm not
That's what I'm
running.
saying.
My one recommendation is find out what's the worst and what they can. Is that
I don't like to be very threatened. You don't let us go if this doesn't work. That's
no? I totally understand that, and I agree. I agree with you. I do.
We're going to
But-
do this to you as a neighbor.
It's not a threat. We've got to consider all of our development options.
True.
Not one person who has an opinion has approached us and say, hey, we'll take this property off your hands. We want to keep it vacant.
What are you asking for?
Buy it, put it for sale. We will buy it.
Go fund me, page.
What are you asking? You said it.
Go fund me.
Excuse me, we're going to move on to item P2.
Yeah.
And if you guys would like to just talk quietly, that is great. And we're going to move on to item P2.
Item P2 is ordinance number 4201, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of
Hey,
Pinellas
good
Park,
luck to you.
Pinellas County, Florida, annexing into the city a certain parcel of land generally located at 5944 107th Terrace North, together with the adjacent right-of-way of 107th Terrace North, and legally described and depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and made a part hereof, providing for amendment of the legal description of the corporate boundaries of the city, providing for the assignment of city zoning classification, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances conflicting herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P2, ordinance number 4201.
We didn't have a vote. We had a motion and a second.
And he asked for a continuance. There is no vote on a continuance.
Right.
Oh, we had the vote.
Are we good?
Yeah, there's a motion.
Isn't there a vote on a continuance?
Yep.
Isn't
There
there?
was a motion to table. There is no vote on the table.
Takes precedence on anything on the floor under your rules.
I thought he was just removing the motion.
He withdrew
There
and then made a
wasn't
motion to
anything to
table.
remove.
He withdrew his
He
motion.
withdrew his motion and then
He
made a motion
withdrew
to
the
table.
motion and asked for it to be tabled instead.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Come on, man. My law degree comes from somewhere else. How about you? You?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
University of BS. That's where mine came from. I don't know.
I'm telling
Okay,
you.
we're on item P2, and I'm opening the public hearing at its second and final reading and turning it over to Ms. Megan or Erica. Erica, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I am presenting P2 and P3 together tonight. That is annexation 2023-00004 and LUPA 0123-00006. And the request for P2 is annexation of a parcel located at 5944 107th Terrace. The request for P3 is a future land use map amendment designating the parcel as residential low. The subject property, as I said, is located at 5944 107th Terrace. It is currently designated residential low in the county, and the proposal is to designate it residential low upon annexation. Property is currently zoned single-family residential R1 in the county. Upon annexation, it would be single-family residential R3. And it is located in flood zone X. Here is a photo of this property. This shows the annexation area. And the subject property is contiguous to the city, meets all annexation requirements in Florida Statute 171.044. The RL future land use designation has been determined to be the most appropriate for the property, and this is consistent with the Land Development Code and the Comprehensive Plan. Staff recommends approval of both cases. And on April 6th, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the Lupa case with the condition that the annexation case be approved by City Council. Thank you. I'm here for questions.
Any questions for Erica of City Council?
Yes, I do. Why do you recommend it?
Why do we recommend the annexation?
Yeah.
There are other properties on this block, most of them that have already been annexed into the city.
That's the reason?
That is, it's within our annexation boundary. The property owner would like to annex. I don't really have a reason why not to recommend it.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question for you. Pinellas County does not like enclaves, do they?
Correct.
So this will get rid of an enclave.
Yes.
And you guys did this with several other properties at the last council meeting, got rid of enclaves.
Yes, and we have another one tonight, in fact.
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on item P2? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion on item P2.
Gun shy.
Councilmember Seville? Or, my apologies.
Accepted.
Councilmember Cadell. I see you pushing, getting ready to push
It
the
doesn't
button.
work. Okay, P2. Oh, I just lost it. Huh? Where'd it go? Right here. Huh?
That's what you actually wrote.
Yeah, but it's down here.
Okay.
I move that we pass ordinance 4201 in public hearing, second and final reading.
Second.
Motion has been made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Moving on to item P3, ordinance number 4203.
Ordinance number 4203, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official land use plan map by providing the land use designation of residential low, RL, for certain lands generally located at 5944 107th Terrace North, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P3, ordinance number 4203's public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Erica.
Thank you. I would like to incorporate my previous presentation into the record. I don't have any more information unless you have questions.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on item P3? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Butler.
Make a motion to pass ordinance number 4203, public hearing, second, final reading.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Sorry.
It was weak.
One. Wait. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Motion carries unanimously.
Item P4, ordinance number 4200.
Ordinance number 4200, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, annexing into the city a certain parcel of land generally located at 5920 107th Terrace North, together with the adjacent right-of-way of 107th Terrace North, and legally described and depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and made a part hereof, providing for amendment of the legal description of the corporate boundaries of the city, providing for the assignment of city zoning classification, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances conflicting herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P4, ordinance number 4200, public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Ms. Erica.
Thank you. I am going to present P4 and P5 together. That is annexation 2023-00005 and LUPA 0123-00007. So the request for P4 is annexation of a parcel located at 5920 107th Terrace. And for P5, it is a request for future land use map amendment that would designate that parcel as residential low. Here is the location. It is located on the same block as the previous property. And the property is currently residential low in the county. It is currently zoned single-family residential R1 in the county. Upon annexation, it would be designated R3. Property is located in flood zone X. Here is a photo. This shows the annexation area. And we have found that this is contiguous to the city and meets all annexation requirements in Florida Statute 171044. The RL future land use designation has been determined to be the most appropriate for the property, and this is consistent with the Land Development Code and the Comprehensive Plan. Staff recommends approval of both of these cases. And on April 6th, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the LUPA case with the condition that the annexation be approved by City Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Councilmember Seville.
Yes, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So they own that lake. They own that retention pond. So the city has no responsibility to go out there and maintain that. Is that correct?
Right. Each lot owns a portion of that retention pond.
It is not the city's responsibility to maintain it.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Got that up? Don't maintain it. That's all I got.
Okay, your light's still on.
Oh, excuse me.
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on item P4? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Vice Mayor Reed.
I make a motion that we pass ordinance number 4200, public hearing, second and final reading.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. Any discussion by City Council on this item? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yep. Moving on to item P5, ordinance number 4204.
Ordinance number 4204, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official land use plan map by providing the land use designation of residential low RL for certain lands generally located at 5920 107th Terrace North, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P5, ordinance number 4204's public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Erica.
Thank you. Again, I'm Erica Lindquist, Planning and Development Services Director. I do not have a new presentation for item P5, but I'm happy to answer any questions, and I want to incorporate my previous presentation into the record.
Thank you very much. Anybody in the audience that has any questions on item P5? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I don't think I have a motion yet. Just close the public hearing.
It's been a long night. I am closing the public hearing and entertaining a motion by Councilor Butler and Reed. Butler.
Okay. Madam Mayor, make a motion we pass ordinance number 4204, public hearing, second and final reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries unanimously.
Item P6, ordinance number 4207.
Ordinance number 4207, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map by providing for a change in zoning district from general commercial B1 to town center TC for a certain parcel of land located at parcel number 283016710640000030, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P6, ordinance number 4207's public hearing, first reading. This is quasi judicial. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Megan.
Good evening. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager. I'll be presenting case number REZ 2023-00005. The request is to rezone 5851 Park Boulevard from B1 General Commercial to TC Town Center. Shown here, outlined in green, is the subject property located at 5851 Park Boulevard, also known as Park Station. The land use is Community Redevelopment District, CRD. The existing zoning is General Commercial B1. The summary is to rezone a 2.36 acre property from B1 to TC. At this time, there are no proposed changes to the property or its current use as part of this application. The proposed rezoning to town center allows for more development opportunities on the subject property. The subject property is located within the proposed city center, and rezoning the subject property to TC is consistent with the existing land use of CRD. The findings are that rezoning from B1 to TC is appropriate based on surrounding zoning. The proposal meets the intent of the proposed TC zoning per the Land Development Code, and the requested map amendment is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan, as well as the regulations of the Land Development Code. Staff recommends approval of this case. On June 1st, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this case, and staff is here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Seville.
Yes. Why is staff recommending this?
Nick or Eric probably could go into more detail, but it is part of our town center, which we are proposing to do rezonings over time to TC, which will be better for that area. So this is kind of just a progressive rezoning.
Putting the horse in front of the cart. You have anything, Nick?
I think it was summed up well. Just to go back just a little to this, you gotta remember we approved, I think it's a couple of years now, our city center plan. So our city center plan, right now we're going through the reality of what can and cannot be built with that. Part of that is looking at this site and other areas around here for the correct zoning, the town center zoning for the city center. So this is part of that anchor phase of the project, and then we'll be coming back with a much larger scope of that area as well.
Sounds great, thank you. There goes Rick's sugar game.
Yeah, that's right.
It's worth it.
Erica, did I miss anything on that?
No, you're good.
Mhm.
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on item P6, ordinance number 4207? One step at a time, ma'am.
I torn meniscus, so. Barry Brennan, my legal address is 5827 72nd Avenue, Pinellas Park.
Were you sworn in earlier?
No, I wasn't.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I just have some general questions. That's the
Train station.
train station. So, and as I understood you to say there were no proposed plans to do anything with that, or?
Well, that's not.
Well, I'm
The
asking you-
train station itself, no. The parking lot, we are working with a group to do something with the parking lot area.
Well, I had read recently that is that Mastries was looking at
Adamant.
putting something there, but it was a very brief article.
Parking garage with condos above the
Residential?
parking- residential.
As well in an entertainment center, it said.
That's across the railroad tracks.
And how much land is there?
Davis Field.
Davis Field?
Yeah, the whole plan concept is it's a very large concept, and I hope to be alive when it's going on. I hope to be here when it's going on, but it's a big plan that we have for the whole Davis Field area to convert that to a splash pad, some other recreational places.
Kind of a town center where, you know,
Baseball is going to be somewhere else. It's going to be over off 62nd Avenue, and the whole world's changing. Yeah.
youth park's going to have baseball, football, soccer, a whole bunch of other things.
Everything.
So,
yeah.
and then this area to be more
Town
entertaining for our citizens would be a good word.
Well, what are the plans or the stage of them, or what is the period of time that this is going to occur?
Not my life.
Yeah.
It's probably not mine then either.
No, I think we're pretty safe. I don't know. Yeah.
Within 20 years, one section
But
and
the
then another,
Mastries
and then
part, it sounded like that was going to be happening
That's
pretty quickly.
that's
yeah.
the old Adamak.
That is
The old Adamak.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's their first project. Then they would like to work with the city to do
Phases.
the second project where the parking garage
And that's
would
been
be,
going on for
and the
a
condos.
long time.
Okay.
And COVID hit right in the middle of all that and kind of slowed everything down.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think those are the only questions I have at this point, but I my property is on the other side of Park Boulevard, and I have, last I checked, the B1 business zoning and,
Right.
whatever the
It's
language is.
CRA also.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's contemplating moving on the other side, or would the property owners have to come forward to ask for the town center, or is that only a public designation?
Oh, no, if you would possibly like to, then you can get with Nick and Erica and Megan, and they can work with you to let you know what all the different zoning
The changes
options,
would
the
be
changes and everything
There's some
for the town center.
advantages to it.
Okay.
And it's good to see you.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
good to
I was
see you.
sitting there contemplating, I think it's 45 years.
Well, I saw you
I
sitting
was
there and
much younger
I
back
looked at
then.
Ricky and I said,
Yeah.
I was a reporter sitting in those
Yeah,
45
that's
years
right.
ago, so yeah.
It's been a while.
It has.
Take care.
The tears have not gotten any more.
No, they haven't. I can't wait to get there.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that has any questions on item P6? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at its first reading and ask City Council for a motion, please. Vice Mayor Reed?
We're on P6, right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion that we pass ordinance number 4207, first public hearing and first reading quasi judicial.
Motion's been made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Item P7, ordinance number 4206.
Ordinance number 4206, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map by providing for a change in zoning district from general commercial B1 to town center TC for a certain parcel of land located at parcel number 2830-71064-016-004, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P7, ordinance number 4206, public hearing and first reading. This is quasi judicial. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Ms. Megan.
Good evening again. My name is Megan Montesino, Development Review Manager, and I'll be presenting case number REZ-2023-00004. The request is going to sound familiar. It's to rezone parcel number 28-30-16-71064-016-0040 from general commercial B1 to town center TC. Shown here outlined in green is the subject property. It's located off 60th Street North. The land use is Community Redevelopment District, CRD. The existing zoning is General Commercial B1. Just to summarize, the request is to rezone a 2.09 acre property from B1 to TC. At this time, there are no proposed changes to the property or its current use as a part of this application. The proposed rezoning to TC allows for more development opportunities on the subject parcel. The subject property is located within the proposed city center, and the rezoning to TC is consistent with the underlying land use of Community Redevelopment District, CRD. The findings are that the rezoning from B1 to TC is appropriate based on surrounding zoning. The proposal meets the intent of the proposed TC zoning for the code, and the requested map amendment is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan, as well as the regulations of the code. Staff recommends approval of this case. P&Z on June 1st recommended approval of this case, and staff is here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff by City Council? Seeing none. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on item P7? Seeing none. Closing the public hearing at its first reading. Anybody to make a motion? Councilmember Butler.
I make a motion we approve ordinance number 4206, public hearing, first reading.
Second.
Second. Oh, in a second.
Second.
This was made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item P8.
Ordinance number 4205, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 18 Land Development Code to add, modify, or remove adult family care homes and child daycare homes and centers, amending Section 18-1502.2 definitions, amending Table 18-1506.3 authorized land uses in the F District, Table 18-1507.3 authorized land uses in the RE District, Table 18-1508.3, authorized land uses in the RR district. Table 18-1509.3, authorized land uses in the R1 district. Table 18-1510.3, authorized land uses in the R2 district. Table 18-1511.3, authorized land uses in the R3 district. Table 18-1512.3, authorized land uses in the R4 district. Table 18-1513.3, authorized land uses in the R5 district. Table 18-1514.3, authorized land uses in the R6 district. Table 18-1515.3, authorized land uses in the T1 district. Table 18-1516.3, authorized land uses in the T2 district. Table 18-1517.3, authorized land uses in the ROR district. Table 18-1518.3, authorized land uses in the CN district. Table 18-1519.3, authorized land uses in the GO district. Table 18-1520.3, authorized land uses in the B1 district. Table 18-1521.3, authorized land uses in the MXD district. Table 18-1522.3, authorized land uses in the TC district. Table 18-1523.3, authorized land uses in the CH district. Table 18-1524.3, authorized land uses in the M1 district. Table 18-1525.3, authorized land uses in the IH district. Table 18-1526.3, authorized land uses in the P district. Amending section 18-1531.10, list of conditional uses and requirements. Amending section 18-1532, off-street parking and loading regulations, providing for the inclusion of such amended ordinance in the code of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. And Mayor, I believe that when I read table 18-15016.3, I believe that's a Scrivener's error. It should be table 18-1516.3, and it'll be corrected before the next public hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good.
I thought that was a little weird.
Thank you.
All righty. I will, let's see. First public hearing. So I'm opening the public hearing and the first reading and turning it over to Erica for a brief comment.
Thank you. I'm Erica Lindquist, Planning and Development Services Director, presenting case number LDC 0922-00008. This will sound familiar to you because we did have a workshop on this a couple of months ago, and the information is pretty much the same. It is to amend Chapter 18 to the Land Development Code related to adult family care homes and centers and child care homes and centers. The Land Development Code is currently inconsistent with several of the Florida statutes and the Pinellas County License Board. The proposed amendment would update the Land Development Code to match current Florida statutes and Pinellas County regulations. And the main things that this will do is increase the maximum number of adults or children per home, allow child care and adult care homes and centers in more locations in the city, remove the city's restrictions on hours of operation. So we have three types of care. Type 1 is located in a private home. 2 is on the same premises as a school or a church. Type 3 is a standalone center in a public, commercial, industrial, or mixed-use zoning district. So we are looking at updating the definition of adult family care homes and centers, and current language. The proposed changes would make it consistent with the state and the county. So the number of hours, as I said, currently our code says 2 to 12 hours a day, and it would increase up to 24 hours a day. and that is for type 1, the in-home care. For type 2 and 3, again, we currently have 2 to 12 hours a day, and the hours would be determined by the state or county licensing requirements, and currently they allow up to 12 hours a day. The definition for child care homes and centers would be updated as well. Again, with the hours going up to 24 hours a day for the in-home child care. The number of children, we currently have a limit of 4 to be consistent with the county and the state. They allow 6 to 10 children in a family child care home, and a large family child care home would allow 8 to 12 children. And again, on the hours for type 2 and 3, currently the county licensing requirements and the state allow up to 12 hours a day. Our code does too, but the language that we would suggest is just to say that the number of children and hours would be determined by state or county licensing requirements. And we added definitions consistent with the Florida statute for several phrases: child care, disabled adult, family child care home, frail elder, household children, and large family child care home. For uses in the ROR, GO, MXD, CH, and M1 zoning, type 2 would be changed to a permitted use. For uses in B1, we would allow type 1 and 2 in all land use categories and change type 2 to a permitted use. In the TC zoning district, we would change type 3 to a conditional use. In the IH zoning, add type 2 as a permitted use and type 3 as a conditional use. In P zoning district, we would change type 2 to a permitted use and add type 3 as a conditional use. The conditional use section, we would like to add a requirement for a pickup and drop-off plan and remove hours of operation limits, as I had stated. For minimum off-street parking requirements, we suggest basing it on the Institute of Transportation Engineers Manual, which allows 1 space per employee plus 1 space per 300 square feet, or 1 space per 10 participants, whichever is greater. And staff recommends approval of this case. On June 1st, the Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended approval. Thank you. I am here for any questions.
Thank you. City Council have any questions of Ms. Erica or staff? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on this item? Seeing none. Vice Mayor Reed?
Sorry, no, I have a question.
Okay, question?
So we're increasing the amount of hours that the kids or adults can stay in the family care homes and centers to 24 hours a day?
In the type 1, which are the in-home adult care or child cares, we would request to change it to 24 hours a day, and that was actually a request that we received from state legislative liaison for child care. She had noticed that our code limits the hours and pointed out that there are a lot of parents that might work the night shift or different kind of work schedules where these should be available 24 hours a day.
So it's not saying, it's saying the child that they can be open 24 hours a day. It's not saying, how am I asking that question?
If a child, well, let me see if I can clarify. If they would be open up to 24 hours a day, if, for example, a parent was out of town or working, a very long shift, they could leave a child up to 24 hours a day. So they could leave them for a whole 24 hours if necessary. And this is the same for the adult care homes.
And these would be at homes in the residence, like any home could do this.
A single family
So
home.
it'd be
If
open,
they were licensed by the county.
and it could be open 24 hours a day.
And it could be open 24 hours a day if you approve this change.
And they would only require one parking space because none of these have, well, let me see, 5 or more children. 1 per 10.
1 per 10 participants or 1 space per employee plus 1 space per 300 square feet, whichever is greater.
Why would we want to do that? Those increasing all of those.
The suggestion came to us, as I said, from the state legislative liaison for childcare. We noticed that we were inconsistent with what the county and state are doing, and that is why we're making this suggestion.
So I have a question for you. So at a residential home, they need to put in more parking. Say, let's do the 300 square feet. Say I have a 1,500 square foot home. I'm going to need 5 additional parking spaces on my property. Is that correct?
For if we choose the 1 space per employee plus 1 space per 300 square feet,
But
yes,
but we can choose whatever is greater, right?
whichever is greater.
So they'd have to put in how many parking spaces at a residential house?
At a residential house,
Yes.
I believe that might be governed by the state laws for home-based businesses, in which case the house would have to operate not really any differently than any other house in the neighborhood. So I don't believe in that case that our off-street parking requirements would apply. They would apply definitely to the centers or the child or adult cares that are connected to a church or school.
Councilmember Sabel, I think the city attorney has some clarification.
Okay, that'd be good.
And I haven't researched this, but I do believe that in what I know about the licensing, I think that there's certain areas that they're licensed. So in your example of like a 1,500 square foot home, if only 600 square foot was licensed for that actual care center, that's what you would be basing it on, not on the entire square footage of the home that may include other areas where the children are not permitted and just used for living.
So they would only include the kitchen, the restroom, the living room, and wherever the children sleep.
I believe it would just include whatever's included in their licensing plan. What that includes, I don't know.
But you're not certain.
I'm not certain, but
Understood. Thank you. I do have another question. In the TC zoning, why is the change type 3 from permitted use to conditional?
The reason that we suggested to change that one is just so we can review that this would be one of the standalone centers, just to give us the opportunity to review that. In the TC zoning district is a little more of a dense area. We want to make sure that there is enough room for pickup and drop off, circulation, and that it's just an appropriate area.
So in the B1, you're just going to permit it.
And in B1, I believe that type 3 is a conditional use as well. We're only suggesting to change type 1 and 2 in B1.
Vice Mayor Reed, do you have additional
Oh,
questions?
sorry, did I leave it on? Sorry.
It just seems like a lot of parking.
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on item P8? Seeing none. Any further questions for staff before I close the public hearing? No. Closing the public hearing and entertaining a motion. Councilmember Butler?
Madam Mayor, make a motion, we approve ordinance number 4205, first public hearing and first reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to section 4, consent agenda items.
Item C1, authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to accept the utility easement from School Board of Pinellas County, Florida for the property located at 10501 58th Street North. Item C2, authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to accept a sidewalk easement from SPG STPK LM Pinellas Park LLC at 6101 45th Street North. Item C3, consideration of a request for the mayor to sign a final plat approval for Towns of Bayou Heights located at 9595 66th Street North. Items C4, C5, C6, and C7, authorization for the mayor to sign participant agreements for disaster debris monitoring and management services for a period of 5 years through February 28, 2028 with Roston Solutions LLC, Tetra Tech Inc. Incorporated, Thompson Consulting Services, LLC, and True North Emergency Management, LLC. Item C8, authorization to purchase under the Interlocal Purchasing System rehabilitation services provided by Vortex Services, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $134,213 to be charged to the appropriate account. Item C9, authorization for approval and acceptance of change order number 1 and number 2, City of Pinellas Park Contract 23/003 Classical Christian School for a total adjusted contract amount of $102,100 and authorization for final payment of $102,100 to JVS Contracting Incorporated to be charged to the appropriate account. And that concludes tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Reed.
Thank you, Mayor Bradbury. Regarding the consent agenda, I would like to make a motion to pass, approve, or adopt whichever action is appropriate, items C1 through C9 inclusive. The next public hearing will be held in council chambers on Thursday, July 27th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion by City Council on items C1 through C9? Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on items C1 through C9? Seeing none. Councilmember Seville.
Yes, ma'am. I have one comment. I hope we don't need to use any of those disaster services.
Yes, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Regular agenda items, section 5, we have none. Section 6, comments from City Council. Councilmember Seville.
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. I was just really shocked by y'all tonight, but that's just my opinion. And that's why we're up here. We all have our own minds to make our own decisions, but I was very disappointed that you weren't supporting the residents of our community. And hopefully the next meeting when they come back, maybe it'll be filled a little bit more. Thank you.
I got nothing. Councilman Butler.
Well, I'm shocked, to be honest with you, that I can actually see past the second row here because I have all my cataracts removed. And I now see who's in the audience, which is really, really nice.
Do you see your lovely bride in the back?
I do. It's the first time. You know, this is not all our staff people. Even the cop over here in hiding, he's really good. But I've seen him. You know, I don't know if it was a badge or what, but yeah, it's good to be able to see you again. It's absolutely awesome. And that's all I have.
Well, I would like to thank our police and fire and our other divisions that were involved in the concert that was placed in the England Brothers Bandshell last weekend. It was a private concert put on by a promoter. 10,000 people, sold out crowd, and all of the reports, I did go by for a little while, all of the reports were positive. The event went very well, it was well attended. The police and fire had a few incidents. I think the fire department had about 20 medical responses for heat and alcohol related items.
Those kind of go together
But
sometimes.
yeah, but actually all the comments were very positive, and it's nice to see some of the big things coming back to the park now.
Okay.
City staff. Miss Rana.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I just have a couple quick things to announce. Couple big things. July 22nd from 9 to noon, our Gateway, Pinellas Gateway Chamber of Commerce and the Pinellas Park Medical District, along with their many sponsors, including the city, are doing a backpack drive at the St. Pete College Health Campus Ruth Health Center on 66th Street. That's 9 to noon. There's going to be a huge backpack giveaway with some school supplies. There's going to be children activities, free food, free drinks. And that's going to be 9 to noon on July 22nd. That evening, it's a fourth Saturday block party down at the Pinellas Arts Village. So there's always a lot of different things going on down there. And then lastly, I want to remind everyone that it's a back to school tax holiday, and that starts on July 24th and goes through August 6th. So it's always a really great opportunity to get some additional school supplies and things that you need to be prepared for school at a discounted rate. That's all I have. Thank you.
Nick. No. Kelly.
I'm being threatened too long. But we do have a couple highlights. Next Friday, we have a teen night at the pool, Western theme. That's from 6 to 8, $5. The kids get pizza, treats, all that good stuff. We also have the Key Clubbers coming out to the farm on Friday night for their leadership meeting, so that's fun. And just a side note, we've had about 3,000 visitors to the farm since we started tours in October. So it really is catching on. They're getting a lot of weekend visits and morning visits this summer, so I think people know.
Very cool. Nothing. Chiefs?
Good to see our past chief here. Good to see.
Nothing. Anything down here? From the quiet ones? No? And absolutely. We've got Miss Joanne, which is part of our chamber and one of our recent board members. And Chiefy, that was a wonderful thing to see you tonight. So hope you're enjoying your retirement, which was well deserved.
Must be something not much on TV tonight, huh?
Kelly probably kicked him out of the house. Said, I've seen enough of you for the last couple of weeks. Go somewhere. So, well, with that, we hope that everybody has a blessed couple of weeks until we see you again. The meeting is adjourned.